Thanks, everybody. I'll take you through our story. We're Torq Resources based in Chile. Let's see here. Is this going? Okay, we're going to be talking primarily about two projects, one being the Santa Cecilia copper-gold project, which is in the Maricunga Belt. We are surrounded by the Norte Abierto joint venture, which is 50-50 held by Barrick and Newmont. And we are also going to be speaking about the Margarita project, which is a new IOCG discovery we're in the midst of making down on the coastal Cordillera just to the south of Capstone's Monteverde mine. Given the fact that we don't have a lot of time, I'll just get into the project specifics when we get there. Just a word about cap structure. We've got 110 million shares outstanding, 136 fully diluted. Current treasury is around $3.5 million. We've been drilling since June, so obviously chewing through our money, but for good reason as we're making discoveries. Of note, as an investor, we've got Goldfields in for 15.05%. They paid $1 per share, which represented a 60% premium last September, and they're participating as we go along, so good to have them as a partner. Here, just in terms of the team, I think it's just important to talk about the Chilean team. The portfolio that we're talking about is their idea. They've had this idea for 15 years, and Waldo and his team have forgotten more about Chilean geology than I'll probably ever know. They've made some big discoveries in Chile. They found El Morro together, now held by Newmont and Teck. They also found Westwall, which is held by Glencore and Anglo. So one-stop shop, permitting, technical, community, they get it all done, and they do it very well and professionally. And Waldo himself's been the GM for most majors in Chile over the years, so just couldn't be happier to be working with a group of this caliber. This brings us to Santa Cecilia. What you see here in blue, this is the Norte Abierto claims surrounding us. You can see they've got a water pipeline, concentrate pipeline, power lines, all of that. The two main deposits that Newmont and Barrick would contemplate developing are Cerro Casale and Caspiche, which combined have 50 million ounces of gold and about 14 billion pounds of copper. You can see the yellow is our claims, okay? And you can see there's this blue sort of polygon that Caspiche is attached to, which is just off our land position. What I'll tell you is Caspiche is just part of a much bigger system at Santa Cecilia. And Caspiche is 25 million ounces of gold and 7 billion pounds of copper. So if it's so great, and it's not just closeology, why do we have it? Like, what's the backstory here? And that's really the important bit. In the mid-'80s, a Chilean mining entrepreneur and a Canadian geo teamed up. They started staking ground in northern Chile, of which Santa Cecilia was a part of their original staking. But they also staked some very famous things like Pascua, Pascualama, El Indio, Refugio, just to the north of us, and Westwall. So a lot of money was made. And so the owner could just sit on this thing, and that's precisely what happened. I call it the time machine. So the very first work that ever got done here was from 1988 to 1990. Anglo came in, drilled about 14,000 meters, all shallow, found some oxide gold. They put in some exploration tunnels, found some high-grade gold veins, put 4 holes into it, replicated sort of, 2-3 meters of multi-ounce, and left. Fair enough. Project then sat still for 22 years. Nothing happened, except all around it, where Cerro Casale was found, Caspiche was found. The whole porphyry story developed right around Santa Cecilia in those 22 years. So the owner in 2012 decided, I'm going to drill a couple of my own holes and see if I've got a porphyry. He drilled 925 meters of 0.45 copper equiv and stopped. And it wasn't until we got there in January of this year that the project became active again. So just an incredible sort of set of circumstances that puts us in a project that should be an absolute pincushion of drill holes, but is not. So by doing a project that's been sort of sitting here on ice for a long time, we had to go back and do the basics, soil surveys, mapping, and it produced some fantastic things. You'll note these 3 blue targets, Pircas Norte, Gemelos Norte, Filo Gemelos. These are all things that we've found. These are porphyries that are mineralized on surface without a single drill hole into them, right next to Caspiche, which is just off our property position there. And again, 25 million ounces of gold and 7 billion pounds of copper within this hydrothermal system already. You can see in the center where that little red polygon is, that's some oxide gold, the heart of the oxide gold that Anglo drilled. We put a couple of drill holes into that, and we hit 560 meters of basically 0.38 gold, 0.23 copper, and 56 parts per million molybdenum, which is an 80% increase in gold grades compared to what had been drilled historically. So we are vectoring towards a high-grade core. And we're going to talk about the high-grade core of Kazpiche quite a bit moving forward, because that's what we're after. Just to show you what it looks like, I mean, you know, when you contemplate the Norte Abierto joint venture and you say, okay, there's 70 million ounces of gold in the thing and 18 billion pounds of copper or whatever it is, what's the synergy? Why isn't it developed? Well, the two main deposits are 13 kilometers apart. What I'm putting out in front of you is just what it can look like. You know, if we find the next big porphyry discovery, it's in the same valley as Kazpiche. It's right there to see. We believe that could turn the whole Norte Abierto joint venture in. And all those pink stars that you see represent undrilled porphyry targets basically sitting on surface. And I'm taking this photo from the second drill hole where we got that increase in the grade. So just a really simple story for everybody to see here. Okay, this is where you can see the two holes sort of at the top end of the figure. These are north-south oriented holes drilled in 2012 by the owner, okay? And you know, 925 meters of 0.21 gold, 0.27 copper, and 80 parts per million molybdenum. That's your 0.45 copper equiv. What you can see that we did, we drilled the two holes that are sort of more east-west oriented, okay? First drill hole, put it in, looking to cross geology. The reason we want to cross geology is because the high-grade core of Kazpiche, which is about 150 meters wide, runs a gram per ton in 0.4, has that orientation. So let's drill across that and see if we can see some new things. That did occur in the first drill hole, which is the top drill hole of the two east-west oriented ones. Grades remain the same. A little perplexed when the results came our way. I was like, geology is looking interesting, don't really see an increase in grade, fair enough. We then stepped 700 meters to the south, and that's where we tagged into something much more interesting, you know, the 560 meters of about 0.4 gold, 0.23 copper, which would represent a 0.6 copper equiv or a 0.75 grams per ton gold equiv, right? That second hole down to the south is a clear high-grade vector. And now we have to talk about what this thing looks like in a cross-section. So the faded out drill hole, that's from 2012 and the owner. The first two drill holes you see, the one on the left is the one that's really got the gold grade kicking. The red histogram on the drill trace, that's gold. Compare it to the other two, it looks totally different. You know, that is truly a consistent intercept now. So now we got to go to Kazpiche. What you see here on the left is a cross-section directly from a 43101 from Exeter Resources from 2009. What you see here, if you see that pink body, the causative intrusion, that's the high-grade core. You drill that, it's 1,200 meters of 0.9 gold, 0.33 copper, or 1,000 meters of 0.7 gold, 0.35 copper. But if you step 100 meters away from that high-grade core, you drill 590 meters of 0.44 gold, 0.25 copper. I would argue we just drilled exactly that in our second drill hole, which means that we're close to that causative intrusion. And you can see I put the cartoon, you know, figure in there, this pink body causative intrusion question mark. But we are there to find that 1,000 meters of a gram per ton and 0.4 copper. And certainly we know that Kazpiche is the analog to use. So that's what we're after. And if we do that, obviously we're on to the next Kazpiche and away you go. Not only are we chasing grade, we are chasing some really consistent geology with what you see at the high-grade core at Kazpiche. I won't belabor this too much, but we do have a sericitic overprint on potassic alteration. That's the alteration pattern you see at Kazpiche. And the other thing to note here on this cross-section is you can see all these purple and sort of pink vertical bodies. These are porphyry dikes. You can see that we can chase this mineralization up towards the surface. And in fact, just underneath where it says looking to the northeast, that hill, that's all oxide gold from Anglo. So it's just mineralized from surface straight down to the end of this drill hole. So just a really big body of mineralization. If we hit the high-grade core, it's game on. As simple as that for us. This is just to show you some pictures as well. On the right, you see the Caspice deposit. There's this little valley. That valley is a diatreme. It cuts the mineralization on the west side of Caspice. You come out of that valley, you start getting on the rocks again at Gemelos Norte. It runs between 0.2 grams and 1.5 gram gold and up to 0.4 copper in sheeted veins in rock samples. Big soil anomaly. Nobody knew about it till, really we defined it. It's exploration 101. Go drill. Simple as that. And same on the picture on the left, Pircas Norte. You see it just in front of the Caspice deposit. Nice shallow slope. Great soil anomaly. You go sample rocks, sheeted veins in porphyry, 0.2 to 0.8 gold, 0.4 copper. Just put some drill holes into it. It's clear as day that needs to be done. So our plan here will be to be drilling up here again in January of this coming year. We're going to probably put only 4,000 meters into it. We would like to put 12,000 in, but obviously market conditions are a bit tough right now. We're not here to dilute our shareholders, so we're cognizant of that. So we're going to do a more modest program, but we're here to find that high-grade core and to test one of these new bodies as well, which can change the game considerably. Now moving to Margarita, this is our new discovery. We're just to the south of Capstone's Manto Verde mine, where they're doing a capex expansion of about $800 million. We're 65 kilometers to the north of Copiapó. We've just completed our third round of drilling. We made 2 new discoveries in that round. So this is now truly an emerging discovery for me. Now this is a complicated slide. We'll try and keep it simple. What you see there in the bottom left of our tenement is the Margarita structural corridor. Back in the 90s, there was like 10, 11 drill holes, 50 to 100 meters, drilling copper oxide. We knew about that. The guys, the team said to me, there should be a source to that. Let's go find some copper sulfide. So at the end of the first round of drilling, lucky hole 13, last hole, we drilled 90 meters of 0.94 gold and 0.84 copper, basically from surface. Great intercept. We said, okay, is this a one-off or can it be continuous? Second phase of mineralization, you can see it up where the density of drilling is, where the 2 text boxes are in blue. 12 holes, it's 800 meters long. It's a good continuous body of mineralization, very close to surface. Fantastic. That's the second phase. What did we learn in that second phase? That there's a 1-to-1 correlation between gold grade and copper. So you drill 0.7 gold, you drill 0.7 copper. 0.5 gram gold, 0.5 copper, so on and so forth. So we had to go back to find some new targets because we know that the top 20 meters from surface is leached of copper. So now you've got these targets in the red polygons. We went and tested those in our third phase of drilling. And what happened is we made a new discovery of 42 meters of 1.1 gram gold and 0.48 copper, 200 meters to the west of the initial discovery. Now we got scale. Looks like it can actually go somewhere. And then we stepped down to the south on this Cotatuda target area and drilled 132 meters of 0.48 copper oxide, basically just underneath the surface. Tremendous result. Then we went to the Margarita corridor where we had known there was some copper oxide, drilled a little deeper and found a subsequent deeper copper oxide zone. So we had 62 meters of 0.49 copper, and then you had another 130 meters of 0.3 that nobody knew about. So there's a copper oxide story on the bottom. There's a sulfide story at the top. I'm starting in my head to see the visibility of plus 100 million tons. We need to go out and put 10,000 meters into this thing, drilling these bodies out now. That's the plan at Margarita. I'll skip this because we don't have a lot of time. But just to subsequent to tell you, just that second drill hole, 31R, that's the new structure. That's 1,200 meters long. We need to march up and down that thing, get another big body, show the scale of the discovery. That's what it looks like in a cross-section. One thing to say, this Manto target that you see here, it's a contact between volcanics and intrusions. It's always mineralized. That thing is amazing. That's a preferential zone of mineralization. You can see we're a couple hundred meters beneath that contact. We're going to chase it up towards the surface, and we're going to explore that same volcanic intrusive contact to show scale again. So just a wonderful thing to happen, a greenfields discovery. This is sort of, this is what we do. The copper oxide discovery, again, you can see that contact between the green and the blue. That's that same volcanic intrusive contact. Look at where the copper hangs out just underneath the surface. If you stand there, you'd never know. But there it is, 132 meters, 0.5%. So just a great place to see some copper oxide close to surface, and obviously in a place of the world that you can mine no problem. At Margarita, we're obviously planning phase 4 drilling right now. Again, technically I'd put 10,000 meters into this tomorrow without any hesitation, drilling out these discoveries we've made. We want to show the scale. I mean, our objective is to find a couple 100 million tons here close to surface that could be open pittable, and I certainly think that's achievable. And from the perspective of having a lot of operators, mid-tiers in the belt, there's plenty. So I think we're in very good condition. And you can see on the bottom right the road into Margarita with the power lines, and this is easy working conditions. And then on the left, you just sort of see the topography we're dealing with. So a very straightforward project. And great to be in the midst of a discovery. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. Hopefully that gives everybody a good takeaway. Just before we go for questions, catalysts coming forward for next year, starting drilling in January at Santa Cecilia. First results probably come out March, April, May, June, okay, from that 4,000 meter program. Then we're going to kick off drilling here at Margarita again, probably sometime July-ish. Results coming September, October, November. So drill catalysts, rich company, on discovery on both projects. So we're in good shape. So I'll open it up to questions.